Hello, everybody! Welcome again to this week's Wisdom Wednesday. So excited to have another education moment this week. I hope you all are having a fabulous week. I've had an awesome day so far. I was at the BNI Impact Business Open Day and the Networking Ninjas Business Open Day. Man, all of the chapters around town are rocking it this month. If you haven't seen the calendar on bniarizona.com, you need to check it out, especially if you're looking to visit chapters this month. All of the Business Open days are listed on that calendar. Go check out some chapters, visit on their Business Open days, and create some new relationships around town, especially on their big days. Go and support some of your chapters, especially if you have some extra time this week. I highly encourage you guys to go check out other chapters. So welcome to the Wisdom Wednesday education for this week. I am Kristen Gear. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the area director for the Northeast Valley for BNI Arizona. So that is anything east of 56th Street and north of Thomas. So if you're in one of those Scottsdale chapters, I am your area director. And today's education is all about visitors, guests, what constitutes as a great sub. We want to create the best member experience for everyone that visits our chapters, right? Because we want them to come back, especially if they're a bona fide visitor. And with all of the Business Open days coming up, especially this month and then following months, we have member extravaganza coming up. So I felt that this was the perfect time to explain to you guys exactly what the difference is between a visitor and a sub, and also some etiquette behind visitors when they visit our meeting, okay? Alright, so it's really simple, guys. So a visitor is someone that visits your meeting. It's their first time visiting, and their category is open, so that means that they're eligible to apply for membership in your chapter. I get the question all the time, well, what if a BNI member visits our chapter and their category is open? Don't they count as a visitor? What do you think the answer is, guys? Anyone that's watching right now know the answer? The answer is no. They are not considered a visitor. Even though their category is open, they're not qualified to apply for membership because they already belong to BNI. So yes, it's awesome that they're visiting and they get to give their presentation because their category is open, but they are not considered a visitor because they're already a member of BNI. So that means a guest is anyone that comes and visits the chapter when it's their second visit. So when a visitor comes a second time, they're then considered a guest. So chapters and visitor hosts and VPs especially, we want to make sure that we're not marking the PALMS report for visitors on their second visit, only on their first visit. So if you're marking those visitors on their second visit, make sure that we're correcting that. So a guest is anyone else. So remember, a visitor is someone that it's their first time visiting and they're eligible to apply for membership. So that means a guest is someone when it's their second visit, or if they're a BNI member, or if they are a client, friend, coworker, if they don't even have a business, but they're just checking out BNI, you're introducing them to your referral partners, that would also be considered a guest. So we want to make sure, especially for the Power of One report, that we're making sure we're having those qualified visitors count on that report. So now it goes into some of the etiquette behind having visitors at our chapter meeting, right? So let's say, for example, a member posts on Facebook that they're not feeling well that morning and it's the day of the meeting. What do you guys do? Are you one of the chapters that maybe has a list of subs that you can call last minute, which is awesome? Or do you guys have members reaching out to visitors that are on the visitor list and asking them to be a sub? I'm going to tell you that if the members are contacting first-time visitors to be a sub, let's rethink that process a little bit. And I love the example that Cindy Chamberlain told me years ago. It's like inviting your friend over to a party at your house and then asking them to take the trash out. Because we want those visitors, especially first-time visitors, to have the best BNI experience when they come to visit our chapters. They're already overwhelmed. I don't know if you can remember the first time you visited your chapter. How were you feeling when you visited the chapter, especially with the amount of people in the room, the energy, the buzz? Now, if we're throwing all of that excitement, nervousness, especially if they're not comfortable with speaking in front of people, like I said in the meeting this morning, one of the biggest fears outside more than death is public speaking. If we're throwing a first-time visitor in the fire with with doing their own presentation, and then they show up to the meeting ready to just be engaged in the meeting, and then a visitor host says, "Hey, can you sub for one of our members?" Then everything gets thrown off, right? They're like, oh, they probably don't know the member, so how well are they going to represent that member's business if they don't even know them? That's the biggest thing. Guys, if that happens, it's much better to take an absence than have someone who doesn't know you and doesn't know your business represent your business. You want to make sure that when you have a substitute, they're going to represent you and your business just like you would. That's why it's so important to make sure that we're preparing our subs way ahead of time, that we're making a sub list. Best case scenario, I would highly suggest going through your phone and putting the word sub next to a couple people's names that you can contact when you need a sub. I know that there's always going to be situations where you need help because you've contacted everyone on your list, but let's make sure that we're being proactive because the leadership teams have a lot of work to do. So if they're adding on trying to find subs for members in the chapter, it's stressful. It definitely stresses out the leadership teams, but they want to help the members as much as they can. So members, let's be proactive. Let's put together a sub list. If I've seen a lot of members post on the Facebook page, on this Facebook page, if they're looking for a sub, let's try to plan in advance so that way we can prepare them. Because other BNI members in other chapters do make great substitutes because they know BNI, but we also want to make sure that they're going to represent our business just like we would. So it's better to make sure, just take an absence. If it's same day, in BNI, we've really honed in and have been hounding hard on attendance. And it's kind of had a negative effect on the back end because a lot of chapters are now thinking of every avenue of how to make sure that they have perfect attendance. But let's think of what's happening on the back end. So if we're asking those first-time visitors who are already overwhelmed, asking them to be a substitute for one of our members, let's think of how they're feeling during the meeting, having to keep track of when to go. And it's better if they just are there doing their own thing, and so that way they have the best BNI experience and they're not having to worry about anything else during the meeting, right? So let's start that starting today. Okay guys, so if you're a chapter that's connecting with the visitors when they're attending your meeting and asking them to be a substitute the day of, even if it's a BNI member visiting your chapter the day of and they're not already prepared to be a substitute for a member, just take the absence. Take the absence. It's going to be so much better in the long run because, one, that member's not going to have someone butcher their presentation, possibly, and you're going to allow them to have the best BNI experience. And that's what it's all about, guys. Making sure that people have that best BNI experience. So remember, visitors, first time visiting the chapter, and they're eligible to apply for membership. A guest is everybody else. So if it's a visitor's second time visiting, they're now considered a guest. BNI members that have an open category in that chapter, they are also considered a guest. And then with substitutes, let's make sure that we're creating the best BNI experience possible with anyone that's visiting your chapters for the first time, because you want them to be engaged in the meeting and not worry about having to substitute for some member, especially last minute, guys. So remember, if you're if you're one of the visitor hosts or even on leadership teams, membership committees, any of the members, if you're asking a first-time visitor to be a sub, let's just shift our thinking on that. Let's make sure that we're educating everyone to prepare a sub list when they need one. Worst case scenario, you take an absence. You want to make sure that that person's going to represent your business, and in turn, you'll give those first-time visitors their best BNI experience. They'll come back again and visit and possibly submit an application. So make sure that we're creating the best BNI experience ever with everyone that attends the chapters. If you have any questions about this, if your chapter's doing it one way, you want to shift it to a different way, please connect with your directors and have them help you shift what's going on in your chapters, because it's all about that BNI experience with our first-time visitors. Because when they have a good experience, then you're going to get a lot more people coming back and visiting your chapter. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Please reach out to me. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great day, guys.